Hi, my loves. Ooh, I'm just like I just feel so good in my body and I feel just so lit up. And I was literally just like making myself a salad and I was like, what's going on? Yeah, I feel like my cheeks are just like, from smiling. But I just wanted to come share some of this love with y'all and just, yeah, beam light to you and just this radiant, sustaining life force light, just sending it your way and washing it all over your cells and your entire being. And I'm just so feeling the gratitude of being alive and feeling the gratitude of really connecting with who I am and what I came here to do. And it's just like mind blowing, like how fucking good I feel every day. And like, I don't say that to brag. I only say it because like there was just once a me who did not feel this way. Yeah, I just remember it was even sad. Like I had this journal. I remember it because it was my shiny gold journal and it always felt special. The outside of the pages were like pink. So it looked gold and pink, and man, I wish I could have a million of those. But early on, like in my journey, I would only write when I was like really like upset or like I need to go to the journal to figure this out. But it would be so sparse. It would be like years in between. And I remember I had a big drinking problem. And I would write like, "Dear God, I'm so depressed. Am I an alcoholic?" I don't know, just like things like that. And I am just so holding her in my heart because I remember. I remember. And I even shared, if you're on my email list, you got my email of my little reflection from that time. But holy shit, like I was so lost and I didn't want anyone to know. Like I had my life together. I had my life together on paper and I was just about to graduate from college. I was finishing up like that summer, that fall, I was finishing up my research to write my honors thesis so I would graduate with my behavioral neuroscience concentration. And like I remember I was working, I had just gotten home from study abroad and I was working at this bar. And like since then that bar has closed because they found, I don't even want to talk about that to ruin this note because fuck that place. But I was in a really dark place. I had like come home. I think my soul knew I needed to end things with my boyfriend. Like we were together for like 6 years, but we had broken up every year and a half or something. So it was just like, I don't know. And it was like my first boyfriend long term. So I thought we were going to be together forever. And I think my soul knew that we weren't. And also my soul probably knew I was neurodivergent and I had masked my sensitivity so much. And I had already, probably honestly stemming, had developed a drinking problem. And it I would just drink. I would binge drink. I would drink so much I would black out. And it's like, I wasn't consciously doing that, but to me, that just signaled that I was so fucking depressed and sad. Yeah. And I remember, because I was listening to Tame Impala, that's what brought all of these memories up. Tame Impala's album Currents is one of my favorites. I love Tame Impala. He just speaks to my soul. But I was listening to that album, and like listening to all those songs, I remember I used to sing along, and it came out the summer of 2015. So yeah, it was just, music always helped me in the dark times too. It was just a dark part of my life, but you wouldn't know it because I was masking so much, and like, yeah, I appeared fine, and I think a lot of high functioning neurodivergent people resonate, but it's like I appeared fine, but I was not fine. And I was also like feeling a lot of pressure to pick a grad program because, you know, I didn't want to be a counselor, and I was like, well, what else am I going to do with the psych major? Well, I could do research. And I was having a hard time. Well, one, I was scared of grad school, I think because my soul knew that that was not the time. And I also was I couldn't find like a program that I really liked. And that was like frustrating me because in order to like apply to a school and pick out what school you're going to go to, you basically have to find a research program to be a part of so that you can do research and write a paper. And well, that was all happening. I can't remember how much I've shared on the Telegram, but I have a podcast episode too, and I've been posting about it on Instagram lately. But like, I was in a really bad car accident 3 months before graduation because I was drinking. And like, just that poor Madeline, like, how sad she was, how she didn't really feel like, I don't even think she was conscious of it. Like, obviously, if she was drinking to oblivion, like, but, you know, I think I was like denying myself. I was in denial about if I was really happy or not, and if I really was like doing what I wanted to be doing. And to me, being addicted to alcohol showed that I was not okay, but I didn't know it then. And I would never say I had a problem then. And like, thank God I didn't kill myself being the one who was drunk driving. Like, there's just so many elements, and I'm just honored to be alive to this day, like to be able to tell this story. And yeah, but like, thinking about that version of me and then thinking about me now and how insanely incredible I feel, and like insanely grateful and excited about the life that I've created for myself since then. And like, she would never believe that it was a big inside joke. And I always called myself the crazy cat lady. And I've always loved cats, and I had cats at a young age, but like, I would always call myself a crazy cat lady. And now I have 4 cats. And so I'm not afraid to call myself a crazy cat lady, and I will. That's not what I'm saying. I think 4 is not in the crazy cat lady territory, but that version of me, to be able to tell her that I, you know, found this person I'm absolutely in love with and have been with him for 6 years, and I have 4 cats, and her research actually got published in a neuroscience journal, and she went to go present it at a world-renowned neuroscience conference that like researchers and people all around the globe like are praying that they get picked. What else? I've started my own business, and I work with dream clients. I'm getting to do what I love. I get to incorporate, you know, astrology and neuroscience and energetics and psychology, and I get to use all of that to support other people. And I get to use all of these gifts that I have, and I no longer feel ashamed of them. I used to feel so ashamed because I was sensitive. Like, I used to feel, that's why I started drinking, probably. To be honest, like, everything felt so painful. And I think I was even watching a little reel I had made, like, talking about me getting teased and humiliated as a kid. Join the club. And, frick, I forgot where I was going with that. Teased and humiliated as a kid. I'm not sure. Shit. Sorry, that happens. I'll just be talking and it feels like a roller coaster flies off the track. But yeah, to be able to try to tell the 2015 version of me that this is my life now, she would be like, what? But you know, she would also be like leaned in and like, wait, really? But like, you know, to her then that would have cost her her relationship, her imagined future, her stability, her security. It would have had her, you know, question a lot of things. But like, I don't think that version of me thought that that was possible. I think that was me writing in that journal, like, I'm depressed. Am I an alcoholic? God, like, that version of me didn't think there was another way. And like, that makes me sad for her, but I'm so grateful that I kept going. And I'm so grateful that, you know, that was 10 years ago. And I'm so grateful that I followed the intuitive nudges, those like inner feelings. I followed those. Granted, I went through a lot of ups and downs in that 10 years. You know, I've only been sober for almost 4 years now. So 6 years of that time, 7 years of that time, I was probably not really present. Like, just thinking about how much I drank and how I always told myself that, oh, I could quit drinking for a month. I just don't want to. And then I was like, wait, that probably means that you can't. So I had to get real with myself. But anyways, yeah, I'm just so grateful that I kept following those nudges. And, you know, that led to me after graduation trusting that nudge and realizing that grad school was not right for me in that time, and I needed to not continue that. And that was scary as shit, but it led me to having so much free time. I mean, I was working still, obviously, but I, you know, stumbled upon my astrological natal chart. That's like the time. It's like a snapshot of the cosmos, like at the time you were born. So, you know, different constellations and different planets in the sky and asteroids and things like that. But that was one of the first times that I had ever felt seen. And like, you know, I'm a Pisces, so it was like, you're really sensitive. And I think I was like, what? Like, I was born like this? And, you know, there's always like the caveat that your astrology isn't permanent. Like, just because you're this doesn't mean that's going to necessarily play out, but like, this is kind of the energy you have to work with. And so, you know, even my I had written a blog. I had started a blog originally to keep up with my grandma when I studied abroad. I was just gone for a semester, but I was living with her, and my grandpa had died a few years prior. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna write to Granny and just like post about my travels while I'm in France. And that, you know, when I returned, I didn't have anything to write about except my research paper. And so after I graduated, I still wanted to write. I still had this drive to write. And so I started a blog. Well, when I was looking up my astrology, it was like talking about being a writer, writing, blogging, speaking, you know? And then I was like, wait, this is crazy. What do you mean? I already started this blog and here is this chart telling me like, ooh, look, you could be a really good writer. I'm like, what? And, and that's also me reading that 10 years ago. I feel like I've so much deeper integrated astrology and the energetics of all that now. But even then it felt like a roadmap. And so that was a tool that I used to help me understand myself and help me really like figure out what is going on. And because I had been looking for grad programs, I was trying to look in things I was interested in. So I had worked in a toxicology lab, which is kind of like how like alcohol and drugs affect your brain and your behavior and things like that. But I was interested in all the chemical stuff, but I wasn't necessarily like, I don't know. Some of the drug stuff was cool, but again, I just couldn't find a program where people were studying what I thought was cool. It was always like really close, but not like a whole 100%. And where was I? Oh yeah, picking the grad programs. And sorry y'all, I was like so excited and I'm like lost in space now. Because I had been looking and because I had been scoping out different fields, I had gotten into a lot of mindfulness. They're doing like a lot of mindfulness research at a lot of, universities around the country. And I was discovering that they had like done a lot of studies on monks' brains. Mindfulness is kind of this concept in Buddhist philosophy, but they had been studying the brains of Buddhist monks to see how meditation was affecting the brain. Because, Buddhist philosophy, they don't have the research labs proving or trying to prove or anything like that. Like, they just have this philosophy that they have created, a way long time ago compared to 2026. And so this was before, modern day Western science. And so it was so cool that they were able to find a lot of confirmation of what that philosophy was sharing. And that got me I was really excited about like meditation. And I had even, when I was in school, we were like in our research lab, we had done this summer program and it wasn't like a program. He was just like, if you could research anything, what would it be? We had like just brought a 3D printer. We were just like being really like, nerdy scientists, like creative people. And I remember I was like, I want to see if I can study the EEG brainwaves of someone coloring, because I had just really gotten into like the coloring books. And I thought that was so cool that it like created inner peace. And I was like, wait, how cool would it be if I could literally measure brainwaves of people coloring and then seeing if their brainwaves change over time, like building my own little study. And I'm gonna open my water really quick because this is longer than I thought. But yeah, I was just like in that realm of just like, wow, like we can use science to like show like mindfulness and like the brain can change based on practices like this. And so let me take a sippy. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Yeah, I was just in that energy of like, wow, that's so exciting. And, so since I didn't end up going to grad school, I was still in that. I still have that brain. I still have that like desire and curiosity for science and the biology and, what's happening on a chemical level. Like, I love that shit. And I had started, they have, connected to those research labs studying mindfulness, they have done stuff with like the Dalai Lama, and it was really just showing me that there was like this integration of science, like this Western science and Eastern philosophy. And I just was like so fascinated by all of this. And I was so curious about Buddhism, and I had started, there's like an overlap. There's like a lot of Western practitioners who study and kind of synthesize a lot of Eastern texts and research around that. And so, like, I'm thinking of Jack Kornfield and Tara Brach, and who else? There's like Richard Davidson, I think. But just, I was reading a lot of those books. I had just found this book called The Practical Neuroscience of Buddhism. And it was like, it's basically like a dense kind of research-based text that, I don't know if you remember in English class, but they had a Spark Notes that was like Shakespeare in English. It was kind of like this. It's like, if you have the Buddhist texts and the philosophies and, the Noble Eightfold Path, if you have these, they have done these research studies to show like where in the brain you can find these things. And I just thought that was the coolest fucking thing ever. I think I found that book while I was doing research. Well, the crazy thing is, like, I was looking at the date for the neuroscience conference that I presented at, and that was in 2016, and I was still working in the research lab. So that must have been when that was like the fertile ground. Like, my creativity just came back after I didn't have to go to school anymore. Or like, yeah, you know what I mean. And yeah, 2016, that was just a big year of awakenings for me. So I was just learning about the intersection of science and spirituality, which is something that's me in my core. And I've always thought it was so curious. And, what I hadn't learned up until then was there was a separation, there can't be spirituality and energy with science. You can't prove it, Anytime I talked about astrology with a boyfriend, they'd be like, oh, well, I guess I only had one I had only had one at that point. But yeah, because he would be like, astrology's not real. You believe in that shit, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, I'm getting these messages that this isn't real and I need to stick to the logical. Well, what I was learning, like, at this time was like that you can have both. Like, I'm getting so excited that there is both. Like, they support each other. I'm thinking of like DNA, and it's just and knowing that, like, after learning all of that and learning, like, because Buddhism talks a lot about the thinking mind and the ego, and like, that was just because I had so much free time on my own, I had realized like who I was, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, I started hearing how critical I was to myself, and I started like, and this was me writing blogs. Like, I would write a blog and be like, there's a part of me that's really mean to me and I don't know why, and wow, that's kind of sad. And I had been reading a little bit of the kind of personal development spirituality books that were talking about how, that voice is not you. Like, you are not that voice that you hear. And so my mind was opening to all of that, and really listening to the way I talk to myself, realizing it was so critical and mean, and I was basically an inner bully to myself. And if you're a perfectionist, you can relate. And yeah, I had a lot of time to like look at my shit. But, what I was studying, I felt really supported, and I felt a lot of these messages like of from like feeling this connection to a higher power, but like it didn't have to be a religious god or things like that. And I think my science kind of, I was an atheist up until that point. I didn't really grow up with Christianity. I was baptized Methodist, but that's not the point. I just didn't have a lot of Christianity. We weren't really religious. Yeah, so I had that just kind of atheist scientific way of looking at things. So to me, finding something that was like able to talk about like this non-dual like wholeness, I don't know, I felt so held. Like I felt like, whoa. I really was just resonating with a lot of that because I felt broken on the inside. Like I felt, yeah. And, I was just thinking, I was like, dang, I could turn this into a podcast because it's getting lengthy. But that's okay. We love a story time. And a lot of this, I needed alone time. I needed to be alone. I didn't need to date that guy. I needed time alone because I never had that. I did have a little bit, but, sometimes you got to take care of your little siblings and, things like that. And I needed to be alone. I needed to not have a boyfriend. I needed to just be me. And I was still a little sad. But I was learning to let go of a lot of the shame and kind of self-hatred that I had. And I remember I ended up dating this guy, and he's since passed, which is really weird. And also sad, but like I did not have a good relationship. Like basically what ended up he said to me was that me needing self-care was selfish, because I think I was like, I didn't really know how to end things. Like I just felt trapped, and I think I was trying to explain like that our relationship was not doing good for me. And it was just a dark, there we go, back into the depths. And I remember it just stung because he was like, self-care is selfish. And I was like, you're gonna tell me self-care is selfish when I haven't even done any self-care in like 20 years? Like ever. I don't even know if I had done any. I think, and granted, how old was I in 24? Like looking back, that's so young. And, that really catalyzed something inside me. Like, and we broke up, and he anyways, no, we're not going there. But I was like, wait. So I was like, well, I'm going to type all this out on my keyboard for my blog, and I'm going to do an 8-part series called Self-Care is Sexy, because I can't believe you just told me that me, for once in my life, taking care of myself is selfish. I was so pissed. But that catalyzed a fire, and I wrote, and processing a lot of that was so incredible. And I did a different category for each letter. I'm thinking about somehow reintroducing that or reworking it, because I think self-care is such an important thing that we aren't taught how to do. And anyways, heckin' y'all got silly me today. I'm just like, we're riding roller coasters. It's like we're playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, but we're like deleting the track. Somebody's deleting my track while I'm trying to talk. So yeah, just tracing that whole journey was crazy. I had also started going to music festivals too, which, if you didn't know, I'm an EDM DJ. So that was like the beginning of me coming into realizing there was more to the world than I thought. And there was a whole other world that existed where you could go be yourself completely free. And also that's when I started getting into electronic music, which is super important for the plot because that's what I do now. And I get paid to play music. And I've even sung my original music on a microphone. So creative dreams, baby. Dude, she would like lose her shit if she would be like, no way. But she would think it was so freaking cool. And yeah, I was going and, you know, I was doing so much. I was just like immersed in personal development. I've always been a really self-aware, sensitive person. And I've always been into healing. Always been into healing so much that like when I was younger, the people around me were not. And I was like, something's wrong with me. I internalized it. I thought I was the bad one or the crazy one for thinking that healing was something that we could do. And so I was just, you know, living alone. I had broken up with the bad relationship. Well, I mean, and my track record at that point was not good. Like, I was still so, you know, grappling with my self-worth that I was seeking out these partners who were very toxic for me. But I had to learn about myself, and I had to go through those yucky relationships so I could like be reminded of the pains that I needed to heal and the wounds that I needed to heal. And let's see. Yeah, I had like made friends with these people. We're not friends anymore. Spoiler alert. And you know, I'm grateful for being introduced to music festivals. And at that time, I got invited to go on a trip to Bali. I had to pay for it, obviously. But that was like a moment where I definitely, that was one of the first times when I was like kind of playing around with like stepping into a new reality. Because I remember looking at my money and I was like, there's no way I can afford this. I was like calculating the plane, the flight, the hostels, the hotels, food. You know, I was like, there's no fucking way I can afford this. So I like called my friend at the time and I was like, I can't. And after I got off the phone, I was like, why did I say that? Like, I have a credit card. Like, this feels like a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm really just going to say no like that. And so I called him back and I was like, never mind, I'm going. I have to go. And it was an insanely incredible trip. And yeah, it's definitely challenging because I went with a lot of people. Well, everyone I went, I do not speak to anymore. And it was just also a really profound trip for me because, and like, I have no problem being on like internal and in my own experience. And oh, sorry, Holly, I got a kitty on my lap. And yeah, after those, like, years of really discovering who I was and discovering myself and learning about myself and learning to accept those parts of me. And also, learning how to channel and write and really process a lot of my feelings that I had numbed or avoided. And a lot of that really felt like it came full circle in Bali, because I just was being shown all of this beauty around me, and the waters and the people and fucking the Milky Way in the sky. Like, I was like, what? We went to one of the islands, and they're known for having some magic mushroom smoothie type things. And, we had gone to music festivals, we had partaken, and so we were like, well, let's have some. And it was just a very mild dose. But I remember just like looking at the fucking Milky Way and the stars and just being like, so this is a mirror for me. So I am this, and this, I am the cosmos, and like just staring into the sky, looking at how beautiful and how just incomprehensible, seeing zillions of stars, having that like internal feeling like, holy shit, like you are infinite, and I don't know, like, when you learn about that, you're kind of like wrapping your brain around it, like, what? Is it true? What do you mean the cosmos is just looking back at me? What do you mean? What do you mean I'm stardust? Like, that's so crazy to fathom. And so I just remember just being in such like awe the rest of the trip. We were there for 2 weeks, and it was beautiful. And I mean, also psychedelics, doing a little brain chemistry rearranging. I had never had like an awakening like that, and it was so beautiful, and I'm so grateful that I got to experience that and be on the other side of the world. That is wild to think about. But I came home, and I had like started a little psychedelic journey around 2018 and 2019, and yeah, I just remember getting home, and what do you freaking know, I meet this guy. Well, I had met him actually the summer before we went to Bali, or maybe I guess it would have been a couple months before we went. But yeah, when I got back from Bali, I met the love of my life, and we took things really, 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 really slow. And like, when I say really slow, I mean like he freaking would come to the bar that I worked at every like month and a half. Like we did not take it fast at all. I think I was like really nervous because there was just something about him, and he was so present, and he taught a mindfulness class not mindfulness, but he did like a mindfulness meditation at a yoga studio, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, this guy's into all this stuff. Like, he knows what I'm talking about. Like, it was a match made in the heavens for sure. And yeah, that's just kind of like the beginning before everything kind of started taking off, because I had just started DJing at the end, like in 2019. So 2019 I started my podcast and my DJ musician artist worldland project, and yeah, the rest is history, literally. And I mean, even so much from COVID I've learned, but I feel like that's a good stopping point because this is a long ass note. But like this audio if you want a part 2, because yeah, even that's just 5 years. That's wild, but that's a good part 1. So yeah, to be continued. Just, I have gone on such a wild journey, but it was always like these moments of like following that soul feeling inside and following that, yeah, you can't put words to a feeling like that, and really trusting that and continuing to take it one step at a time. And you know, the wild thing is that I can say, looking in retrospect, is like, yeah, it really does happen like one step at a time. You really do have to take a step before you know what the whole path looks like. And you also have to trust that you are being taken care of and supported. And I understand, you know, if we have like shitty childhoods and shitty upbringings, like we don't always feel supported and we don't always feel that we deserve love and things like that. But there is something out there, some big puzzle that cares about us and cares about us feeling good and feeling good to be alive. And we all have that inside of us, like that inner childlike joy and that just fun energy. And I just want all of us to be able to experience it, and you know, and then even to be able to alchemize it and create so much beauty, to be able to alchemize everything we have gone through and everything we have been through, and being able to turn it into something beautiful and something magical and something that also helps the rest of the world. Like, that also is a different level of fulfilling that you don't even realize until you've made a difference and you're like, wow, I've just made a difference in someone's life. They are forever changed because of this one little thing that I did. And just that ripple effect that we can have on each other. I'm just so grateful and so thankful for you listening. And you know, I can tell stories all day. I have a lot of stories to tell, so. But yes, let me know if you like this, because I don't know if I have like a full ass story on my podcast or period, just of then until now, you know. A lot of shit's happened, but I think that's probably the end of part 1 story time. I will also really quick let you know, I shared it in the group, but the MAD method is open. I am so excited to be able to launch the MAD method. This is my exclusive signature, like high ticket, like this is the way to work with me. And it is a program, 12 weeks for my artists and healers and visionaries who are ready to own their magic. They're multidimensional magic, because you are not boring one-sided. You have so many gifts. And this program is for the ones who are ready to share their gifts with the world, to be able to alchemize all of that into beauty and step into a life of their wildest dreams. So I dropped some info in the Telegram. I am so excited. I only have 5 spots available, so this is very limited. This is very, very, very special. But yes, we will work one-on-one together. We've got modules in the program. We will meet one-on-one. You get an astrological human design reading with me, and just creating magic and helping you map out everything your soul knows that you came here to do, and to be able to connect that with your purpose and your livelihood and your joy in this life, because we all deserve to feel this radiant, childlike joy and wonder, and to be able to express ourselves so we can heal not only us, but those around us and our communities, and really raise the whole consciousness of this mother effing planet. Because holy shit, like, we have so much power within us, and I'm just so excited. I love it. And that's like the joy that I was talking about. Like, I'm just like tapped into this like joy to be alive, joy of feeling so connected to my purpose, and feeling so just convicted in who I am now. And it's all the things that I've learned on my journey, you know, going back to that story I was telling you, like the me before I graduated, scared, like alcoholic, like she was able to alchemize all of that. She was able to move through it, and she was able to create art out of it. She was able to find peace out of it. Like, I just want you to know that you have a story too, and I bet you might have one that's crazier than mine, and that's okay. We're not here to see who has the craziest story. We're here to like hype each other up and say like, babe, you have a story to tell, and you have gifts, and I hope that you fucking share that with the world, because you deserve to feel good. We all deserve to feel good. And like, how the fuck else are we gonna get this whack ass yucky energy to dissipate? We got to alchemize it. We got to alchemize our wounds and turn our pain into something beautiful, something iridescent, shall I say? But yes, I'm definitely going to share the links, but in our 12 weeks together, we will set intentions that ignite your passion, rooted in your creative dreams, your deepest desires, and how you truly want to feel in your body. And we'll also discover your gifts and energetics through astrology and human design, so you can fully embrace and celebrate who you were born to be. We're also going to learn about how your mind, body, and spirit work together. Hello, neuroscience, and how to tap into your biology to empower yourself and also create this inner state of peace and grounding. And, you know, to put it all together, we will craft a new narrative for you, one that empowers you to be your most dazzling, unapologetic, creative genius in every area of your life. Oh, and I'm just so flipping excited, because for like 72 hours, so until the last day is June 30th. So you have today, the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. After that, the bonus disappears. But when you invest in the MAD method before June 30th is over, you are going to get 2 extra bonuses. And again, these are time sensitive bonuses. So this is for the one who knows they're ready. Ready for the journey, ready for the adventure of a lifetime, ready to tap into their gifts and share with the world. So when you sign up for the MAD method by June 30th, you will receive a bonus 90-minute creative brainstorm call. And that is where we will just co-create a container for you to channel your juiciest, dreamiest ideas and creations. And you can use that anytime during our 12 weeks during the program. And then when you sign up by June 30th, you also will get lifetime access to my mini program, Nourish Your Garden. And that is my 28-day audio program. It's like a self-paced course to start your day with intention, nourish your mind, body, spirit, and reconnect with the joy of being alive. So it's like audios for 28 days. They're about 5 to 10 minutes. They're very short, but that is an incredible program, and it's valued at $111. Honestly, I probably need to raise the price because it is just such a beautiful program. But yes, when you sign up for the MAD method by June 30th, you get both of those bonuses, the 90-minute creative brainstorm call and lifetime access to my mini program. So that would be lifetime access to the MAD method and Nourish Your Garden, which is ballin'. But okay, So I have already shared a lot with y'all. I'm going to wrap it up. But yes, don't forget that June bonus. That is a 72-hour bonus. It's not going to be available after June 30th. So when you sign up for the MAD method, your investment is for 12 weeks, $2,222. And yes, 5 spots available. They're going to go fast. You need to make sure that you save your spot. And the price is going to be going up. It's going to be going up to 3,333. So this is actually going to be the lowest price that you can get this program. And then it goes up. And yes, I don't want you to miss out on this incredible deal. So, I'm so excited. I will also share a link. You can, if you are feeling so good about this and you want to just chat some stuff through, I have free connection calls. So you can book one of those with me and we can talk it through, answer any questions you have, and yeah, see if the MAD method is an aligned fit. I'm so freaking pumped. But thank you, babe, so much for listening. I know this was a long note. And yes, part 1. So like this if you want a part 2. All right. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I love you so much. Bye.